So I'll now go over to Assembly Member Unmesh Desai.
Thank you, Chair. If I can ask you, Mr. Mayor, we heard a lot about this meeting on the 19th of January, and you mentioned 2 or 3 agenda items that were discussed at the meeting. I think you talked about the Violence Reduction Unit, the Officer Uplift Program. But can you tell us more about your version of events on that day? Can you talk us through the trilateral on this particular day? Because it has been suggested that you express confidence in the MPS and the former Commissioner's leadership.
Let me just be clear. I did express confidence in our ability to reduce violent crime. When you compare when I first became mayor, the number of officers we had then, we'd gone down to less than 30,000. We didn't have a violence reduction unit. And so I said to the Home Secretary, and it's got, and I maintain this, I had full confidence in our ability to address the issues that we were there to discuss. And her letter to Sir Tom, I know Sir Tom didn't meet with her, but her letter to Sir Tom, and there's only a few lines, we've not seen the letter, in Sir Tom's report confirm my version of events. The foundations for the next year, I had full confidence in. She references Police Uplift Programme, paragraph 41. That's police numbers. At that stage, we're 33,000 from a position less than 30,000. Of course, I've got much more confidence now. She references the success of the Violence Reduction Unit, and I actually thanked the Home Secretary for the £7 million. And I said this shows the difference funding can make. The country's first violence reduction unit. We learned lessons from Scotland. And she also references in the 2 lines which Sir Tom's given in his report, engagement with health and education partners. I made the point, we're working better than ever before with our partners on the PRU and the Partnership Reference Group. That was the context of the confidence in our plans going forward to address these issues. And what some have sought to do is to cherry pick that in some idea. I gave full confidence to the Commissioner, and that's contradicted because just 2 or 3 months previously, on the 1st of October, I'd used the phrase to the Commissioner, even Sir Tom accepts, last chance saloon for you. Even Sir Tom accepts, I'd spoken to the Home Secretary before this meeting, saying my confidence had been shaken. So what some are seeking to do is to pick out from this meeting an interpretation that isn't borne out by the facts.
Thank you, Mr. So my second question, I think in some ways you already answered this question in response to questions from Assemblyman Pigeon, but I still got to put this to you. And if there's anything more you wish to say, why did your thought processes between the January 19th meeting and the 10th of February change? Can you explain to Londoners what actually changed?
Well, so in relation to my confidence overall in the ability of the Commissioner to address the series of scandals that had happened before the 10th of September with the extension, and before that meeting in January, there'd then been additional events post that meeting on the 19th of January. By the way, my interpretation of that meeting is not the same as Sir Tom's. Mine's where the Home Secretary is in relation to just those 3 issues have I got confidence in. We're not discussing trust and confidence. And Sir Tom says the omission of trust and confidence from the Home Secretary's letter can be inferred from that, his version of events. What happened after that meeting was, in the words of the minutes, the straw that broke the camel's back. And that's Operation Houghton. The police were well aware of the details of this. I became aware on the 27th of January. By the way, although game-changing in relation to the straw that broke the camel's back, it was still possible for the Commissioner. It was still possible for the Commissioner to persuade me that she had a plan to address these issues, and she had a plan to win back the trust and confidence. And proof of that is you compare and contrast the actions of Dame Cressida Dick, the finest police officer in a generation, to Sir Mark Rowley in relation to how he's approached these very same issues over the last few weeks.
So, as far as I'm concerned, the all-important issue for Londoners out there is trust and confidence in the police service. So, Mr. Mayor, what assessment have you made of the former and current commissioners, respectively, when it comes to restoring trust and confidence?
And this goes to
looking
the core.
To the future.
This goes to the core of policing.
Yeah.
Because the current commissioner uses language like higher standards, more trust, equals less crime. He believes that the police service should be an anti-racist organisation, which is very different from an organisation that, quote unquote, has zero tolerance towards racism. I've been at some of the meetings that Sir Mark's been at in relation to his views on addressing these issues, whether it's Charles Q, whether it's Bieber and Nicole, whether it's Sarah Everard, whether it's the Morgan family, whether the 4 victims of Stephen Port, whether it's Bianca Williams. They all deserve a Met Police leadership that understands, that goes to policing by consent, dealing with these issues and having a plan to address them.
And to his credit, Sir Mark Rowley, I would say, is not in a self-denial mode and accept that there are institutional problems within the Met. So my final question, Chair, is to Sir Windsor. So, Sir Windsor, I'm aware of what you said on page 64, paragraph 220 in your report regarding the departure of the former Commissioner Ian Blair. However, I nonetheless would like to ask you, in this meeting, didn't you think that looking at the resignation of the former Commissioner before the end of his contract and without formal process being involved would have been relevant for your investigation? It would have been helpful, in my opinion, for this committee to understand the differences between the approach of a previous mayor and the current one.
Mr. Johnson, when he was Mayor of London, did not act in accordance with due process in relation to Sir Ian Blair either. And I make that point in my report. 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Thank you.
And that is in the report. I'm sure you've read it, Assembly Member. We're now going to come to Assembly Member Russell.
Thank you, Chair. So I want to start just going back to the issue of feedback on the plan. And paragraphs 90 and 91 show that actually there was some feedback on the plan. Both drafts were sent to the MOPAC CEO during the course of the morning for MOPAC's comment and feedback. Chief of Corporate Services sent a message to follow up, request substantive feedback before calling around 11 corporate sent to show that actually there was some feedback on the plan. Both drafts were sent to the MOPAC CEO during the course of the morning for MOPAC's comment and feedback. Chief of Corporate Services sent a message to follow up, request substantive feedback before calling around 11. During that call, the MOPAC CEO stated that the all-staff message was good. She had not had time to consider the plan carefully but thought it was too long and would require more external focus, such as a campaign or listening exercise led personally by the Commissioner. Now, there was also, in paragraph 91, the MOPAC CEO also noted the draft plan contained nothing about communication of the outcomes of Baroness Casey's review. She said it was a red line item for the Mayor that the Casey review should report to him directly, even though the Commissioner had established the Casey review on the basis that it would report only to the Commissioner. MOPAC emphasised that the red line was that the review should report to the Mayor in addition to the Commissioner. Now, those are some very clear pieces of feedback. So Tom, I'd just like your response to those in relation to the comments about there not being enough feedback, and then I've got a question for the Mayor as well on this issue.
I didn't say there was no feedback. I was saying that the material feedback came far too late, indeed on the 10th of February, which was the day the Commissioner indicated that her intention to resign.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, do you think that you or MOPAC should have given more detailed feedback on the Commissioner's plan any earlier?
Well, the Deputy Mayor tried to the day after our meeting. So on the 2nd of February, I met with the Commissioner. On the 3rd of February, the Deputy Mayor met with the Commissioner, and even in Sir Tom's report, he gives some reference to this, paragraph 84, where the Deputy Mayor wanted to not deal with the tabled items of the agenda, 3rd of February meeting, and deal with the issue of trust confidence. The Dame Cressida dismissed that idea, spent 5 minutes talking about it. So what was the Deputy Mayor supposed to do? She's raised proactively the issue of wanting to discuss these issues. So Tom's critical about the length of the day. Well, I'm not being funny. The 3rd of February is one day after the 2nd of February. Again, an example of facts being ignored.
You've raised exactly the paragraph that I was going to go to next, which is paragraph 84. And absolutely, the Commissioner said there'd been a request that the focus for the meeting should be on trust and confidence, and the Commissioner responded by saying the discussion on trust and confidence should only take 5 minutes. Now, the issue of trust and confidence is absolutely key to the confidence in the Commissioner, both from the Mayor but also from Londoners, because the Mayor mentioned earlier the response of Londoners to this litany, this constant extra revelations of bad things that had been happening in the Metropolitan Police. And that issue of the confidence of Londoners was absolutely critical to all of these events that were going on. So Tom, do you think that it was appropriate to spend just 5 minutes of that meeting on looking at trust and confidence?
I think that the engagement that the Met were having with MOPAC on all these sorts of things was extensive. I expressed no opinion as to whether or not the Commissioner was right to say, I just want to spend a few minutes on this. The Mayor, I think, implied that this was part of feedback on the plan. But this was the 3rd of February. The plan wasn't produced until the 4th of February. There couldn't be any feedback on the plan if the plan hadn't been sent over. So I think there's a little bit of mixing up there.
Or was it, because, yes, I read it as it was part of an engagement process on the plan.
I have no doubt that the Met took very seriously the matters that the Mayor and his staff were very concerned about.
Do you think that it could be read, the suggestion of only spending 5 minutes on the issue of trust and confidence in this discussion, that the former Commissioner didn't see the extent of the issue with trust and confidence in terms of how Londoners were reacting to the events as they played out. Do you have any comment on that, Sir Tom?
Yes, my answer to your question is no. I don't think there was any blindness on the part of the Commissioner, the then Commissioner, or the senior officers of the Met in relation to the seriousness of these things. That is why they had produced so many action plans, the Stride Plan and others, to deal with the concerns which they shared in relation to the Mayor's agenda in terms of rooting out misogyny, homophobia, racism, and all the other things that were found.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, do you want to add anything on that point?
Yes. The plan that the then Commissioner Dame Cressida came up with on the 4th of February was simply not good enough for the scale of the challenge facing our police service. Trust and confidence at rock bottom, trust and confidence plummeting over the last couple of years, and the former Commissioner thinking 5 minutes is adequate to discuss these issues, which would have been a really useful meeting for her, to use that time in advance of the draft plan she sent to me on Friday the 4th of February. And the Commissioner was aware by as late as the 10th of February that I didn't think that the version on the 4th of February was adequate. But she chose not to come to that meeting and discuss the draft plan with me and work towards it, improving it. I think you can't solve a problem unless you accept there's a problem. And I'll give you the difference, an example of the difference between a, inverted commas, zero tolerance towards racism which Sir Tom praised in aid for the Met Police Service previously being an anti-racist organisation, and an organisation actually being an anti-racist organisation. An organisation that has zero tolerance towards racism responds to a complaint about racism by dealing with it individually. It could be discipline, it could be performance. An organisation that is anti-racist when it comes to its policies is proactive and makes sure the whole organisation has at its core the importance of weeding out racism. Child Q should not be happening. The response to it could be a zero tolerance towards racism, but the policy of strip searching children and black children in a certain way wouldn't happen in an organisation that's properly anti-racist. The gangs matrix, yes, a useful tool. A zero tolerance, inverted commas, towards racism responds to concerns raised. An anti-racist organisation deals with their core. I'll give you another example. And by the way, the reason why it's important is Sir Tom concludes, because the Met Police Service under Dame Cressida was saying we're zero tolerance, it therefore already was anti-racist.
As this extensive exchange shows, the heart of the issue is not simply a disagreement between officials, it is about the fundamental trust Londoners place in their police service. Across multiple meetings, letters, and drafts, the recurring theme is clear: confidence in the Metropolitan Police had been shaken, not only within government but across communities who had witnessed scandal after scandal. The mayor repeatedly emphasized that without genuine accountability, without a clear and robust plan, and without leadership willing to acknowledge institutional problems, real change would remain out of reach. We heard how the former commissioner's approach, from limiting discussion on trust and confidence to offering a plan that was widely viewed as insufficient, failed to meet the scale of the crisis. And in contrast, the current leadership has begun using language that confronts the deeper, structural issues facing the Met. Whether it's racism, misogyny, homophobia, or failures in safeguarding, London needs a police service that leads with transparency, humility, and commitment to reform. At the center of it all is a simple truth: policing depends on public consent. Without public trust, there is no effective policing, no safety, and no legitimacy. And so, the debate continues, not just about past failures, but about the future of one of the world's largest police forces, and what it will take to rebuild Londoners' confidence in those sworn to protect them. Final question for viewers. Do you believe the Metropolitan Police can regain the trust of Londoners, and what changes do you think are most essential for that to happen? If you found this analysis useful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, so you never miss our next political update.